Hey, hey, hey. Time for another out of this world story from our space. My wife cheated on me with a coworker. So I found out a couple weeks ago that my wife of 8 years had been messing around with a coworker. She went out on Friday with her cousin and got real wasted. She ended up getting in an argument with her cousin and doesn't remember much of the night. The next day in the evening, I noticed she had a bruise on her cheek and one on her breast. I questioned her, and she didn't remember nothing, and that she might have bumped into something. I told her they looked like bite marks, and she denied it. Now, my wife tends to get a little naughty with other females when she's drunk, so I just chalked it up to that and left it alone. A week later, on a Saturday morning, I was up early working on my brakes in my car, and my wife comes out to the garage, and I noticed she seems like she had something on her mind, so I asked her to tell me what's going on. She proceeds to tell me that on Saturday, when she left to go pick up her friend, she met up with a coworker for a quick drink, as he got in his car and he immediately began to touch her and bite her. I was very shocked and hurt. She said she was shocked that he did that, and she got angry and left. I asked her who it was, and she told me it was Oscar. Last year, she told me Oscar had texted her very inappropriate things, and she resisted at first, but joined in later. And when it got too far with the texts, she stopped. Like an idiot, I believed her and let it go. So when she told me it was him again, it hurt me even more. She told me she felt so guilty and that she was going to block his number and never speak to him again. We argued for a little, but, like a dummy once again, I believed her. It had been a couple of weeks, and things between us were a little rough, but starting to pick back up, but still had this feeling that she wasn't telling me the whole truth. Last night, we were watching a movie on Netflix, and the husband in the movie had caught his wife cheating on him, so it made me start to think about our situation. My wife fell asleep halfway through the movie. She then wakes up and says, "Let's go to bed." She gets in bed and falls back asleep. I say that because I wasn't sleepy yet. All that time, I kept thinking about the issues with my wife and I. She had left her phone on the kitchen counter, so I decided to look. That's when the hurt of my life happened. Now, she did stop talking to him after the bite marks, but as I scrolled through the messages, I started to find naked pics he would send her and naked pics she would send to him. My heart sank so low. Then I saw a pic, and she wrote to him that he owed her a new shirt because he had ripped it, or she needed another good screw. At that point, I was so enraged, I went to the room, put on some clothes, and left. I drove about a mile down their street before I turned back around and came back home. When I opened the door, she was at the door asking me where did I go. I told her just for a drive, and then I asked her to sit on the couch because we needed to talk. I asked her to tell me the truth about her and Oscar. I asked her if she had sent him naked pics of herself, and she said yes. And then I asked if she ever screwed him, and she said no. I asked that question several times, and she said no. Then I told her I saw the pictures and the messages in her phone, and I questioned her about the ripped shirt and what she meant by another good screw. She told me it was a joke and I wouldn't get it. Eventually, she confessed to having had sex with him twice. At that point, the tears began to roll down my face. She later blamed it on me, saying I was talking to other females before we got married. That is true, and that I wasn't giving her enough attention, and she was bored with her life. Also, it was my fault that I went and looked through her phone. We have 2 kids, just bought a new house, and now I don't know what to do. Let's get some reaction from the community. Throwaway Bear 61 starts us off. Get tested for STDs, get a lawyer, and get your evidence together. Even in no-fault states, it'll be good to have. I would urge to everyone in both your lives, either leave or get her out. Whichever works best for you, not her. Go no contact with her other than kid and divorce stuff. This is over. I'm sorry for her loss, but she ended the marriage. Never reconcile. She's already proven she's a liar and a cheater many times over. Don't make yourself into the relationship hall monitor and detective tracking a cheater and a liar for the rest of your life. And remember this, she didn't just cheat on you. She cheated on her whole family. Tell her that too. Another comment comes from GMU 1993. I had a very similar situation, as I suspect many others have too. I stuck it out and we stayed together for many years. It was very, very hard. Our marriage has never been easy. It's imperative to try and reestablish trust. Well, that's what our counselor said. But honestly, it never comes back completely. And we both know it never will. I still think about her affair often, how much it hurt. The upside of sticking it out was it was good for our kids. I'm old-fashioned and think it's important to put up with a lot for their sake. We don't have an abusive relationship, and generally, things are stable and we get along well enough. But I know with my kids soon leaving the house, there will be a big temptation to leave and see what else life has to offer. We'll see what happens. There are no easy answers. Just try to take care of yourself and your kids as best you can. If you can forgive and rebuild, that's great. But if you can't, don't feel guilty either. Best of luck. All right, on to the next story. It's a bit of a question. Is an open marriage a bad idea for my wife, female 41, and I, male 43? We have been married for 18 years, and she recently came out as bi. We've been talking quite a bit lately, and I don't have a problem with her being bi. I have a problem with her doing things with other women without us first having an agreement and boundaries. The problem is that I'm trying to work on our marriage to keep us together, and she does not seem to want to try too much. Honestly, at this point, I'm pretty sure we are done. In an attempt to keep us together, I asked her the other day if she thought an open marriage would be what she wants. She said she thought it was. Then, I asked her if it was also open for me, and after small hesitation, she agreed. Let me say this, I do not want that. But I told her I would be okay with that, so she doesn't continue to take advantage of the situation. I really don't know what I'm doing, or if this is a terrible idea. I read that 92% of open marriages end in divorce, but if I don't offer this, I'm almost certain she will want to leave. I don't have any other ideas. I've been seeing a counselor and will be bringing her to my next session, but that's not until a few weeks, and I need some help or advice now. Ask for some advice, and you shall get it from the community. Drastic Biscuit says, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but instead of a counselor, you should be seeing a divorce lawyer and getting your ducks in a row. If your marriage has degraded to the point where she has no issues with you both seeing other people, then it's a hopeless cause. Another thought comes from Tomatito Bean. Give her the open marriage. Take it as an opportunity to find someone else that wants to be monogamous with you. If you find that person, serve her the divorce papers. At this point, it looks to me like she checked out of the marriage and just wants to keep you around for her convenience. Financial support maybe? A house? All good advice, but we're going to move on to the next story. I, 25 male, am becoming somewhat emotionally into a girl in an open marriage, 33 female, and I don't know what to do about it. I should probably start with a backstory, given that there are a few red flags there. I met this girl at a party I threw. She came with a girl that I previously had a one-night stand with a month before. It was a pretty bad one-night stand, and I thought it'd be obvious we'd want to keep it as friends. At the end of this party, her friend, the girl, 33 female, who looks like 20 and crazy good looking, I should add, asked me for my number. I invited her out for drinks and asked for the other girl's blessing, and she tells me it's okay, but she tells her friend that she shouldn't do it. Long story short, she comes for a drink with me anyway and tells her friend the next day, who proceeds to go on a major rant sending paragraphs of text about how she betrayed her and that it's not okay. A few months later, we're still dating, had lots of amazing sex, even been away on a weekend getaway. Red flag there because one rule of her open marriage is that she can't stay the full night around the other guys' houses, so she suggested we go out of town. She made it look like it was a trip she took alone. It's obvious that there is a little more than just sex there, and we've spoken about how it's slightly emotionally dangerous, but that we both feel strong enough to deal with it, or so we think. There's passion there, as she's genuinely a nice girl, but the betrayal of the friend and breaking the rules of her open marriage, I guess don't bode well. So the major key here, she's in an open marriage. No disrespect to those who are, but what? Whenever she talks to me about him, she basically says it's a comfortable situation, yet they rarely have sex, and he just stays in the house playing video games, not really doing anything. She sounds utterly unattracted to him, at least in comparison to what's going on with us. If we keep carrying on, we're only going to get deeper into this emotionally. She's actively said she likes the fact I get with other girls, because I do occasionally, and that she finds it attractive. I just don't know where I'm going to stand with her a few months down the line, when of course stronger feelings are going to develop, I imagine, on both sides. I probably lean more towards monogamy than her, except right now it feels like we're almost in some kind of open relationship, and she's married and doesn't seem invested in her marriage at all. She's always texting me telling me she wants me and about meeting up, which is super cute, but just shows how her marriage obviously kinda sucks. When we cuddle, she's like, "Oh, this is nice. I've missed having this kind of affection." So my question is this a recipe for disaster, or should I call it quits now? Or should I just be happy with what it is and go with it, but risk getting hurt if she decides to call it off randomly? There's no spoken commitment there. My problem is that the red flags were all done, so she could be with me. So I don't know how much weight to put on those as well. Update. I went straight to cut it off with her and felt awful about it the whole day. Also, it's my birthday. Eventually, she asked to meet up, which I thought was a good idea to talk it out properly in person, and we agreed maybe it's best to just not speak for 1 to 2 weeks to cool things off. So in the meantime, I carry on dating others and maybe even find someone more available. Point is, she could not be my number one if I'm not her number one. And so I've kind of got to go back to the drawing board, so to speak. But I don't want to cut her out of my life totally, unless another relationship would require it. She's not happy about it because she feels pretty damn deeply for me, but she also does understand the situation. I think it'll work out fine, but I need to create the space for it to fizzle out a little, work on myself, find other girls, but still keep her in my life, whether that's in a friends with benefits way or as a friend later on. But enough time away is the key healer de-intensifier. Let's get some thoughts from the community. Foolishly starts us off. This girl is cheating on her husband with you. Do you want to date a cheater? Being in an open marriage doesn't make her immune from cheating. She's breaking the rules of her open marriage. She's lying to her husband about staying the night with you. In an open marriage, the lines between what is cheating and what is not is different than a monogamous relationship, but boundaries still exist, and she's disregarding them. That's bad news in my opinion. You need to walk away. The OP responds, "You're right. She's violated the boundaries and there's no reason to believe that if we progress, she wouldn't end up doing the same to me. I don't think I'm going to walk away, straight away, but I certainly need to have this conversation with her and see what she says about all this."